Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Fore Podcast with your hosts Tease and Don Julio. A lot of stuff going on this week. First let's jump right into it. I mean, I was really stoked to kind of see Anthony Kim in live with his warm-ups. I think he practiced his first driving range session with Vans on, a t-shirt that said "Girl Dad." He had, his like little ponytail going, and he has now like a whole left arm sleeve, and I think he's maybe like 15 years removed from the last time he played like an actual professional event or something like that. And it's just, I've never really watched him play. I watched highlights because when I got back into golf, people were like, wow, Anthony Kim was awesome. He was so much fun to watch. He just came out of nowhere. He had like that massive belt that said AK-47 on it. And yeah, I mean, I'm excited to check him out and watch him play this week at Live. What are your thoughts? I mean, you've been following golf a lot closer than I have, longer. I mean,
I just think it's weird that he had an injury with his Achilles, right? And because of that Achilles injury, he hasn't played professional golf again.
that's not why.
It was
That's
it.
not why.
What do you mean? Why?
I
What
got
happened?
inside information that he was
I thought
banned.
it was
He was banned from the PGA Tour for drug possession.
really.
Not even kidding. I'm not making this up. This is what I was told from, in my opinion, a very reliable source.
Yeah, Rich Lerner
And
said that he was just snorting. He was snorting coke all the time. No, I was kidding. Don't cut that out. I'm just kidding.
jeez, man. Hope no one clips that.
Yeah.
No, but seriously, from what I was told, that's why he didn't get an offer for the PGA, because he was banned for whatever reason, for, I believe it was cocaine, but like drug possession, and he was banned for the PGA. Obviously, that Achilles had something to do with potentially him maybe going down that road. I don't know, but that was apparently what it was. And he was saying, I sent Julio a clip up from like YouTube, and he was saying that when the time comes, he'll tell his story and everything will come out. But from what I've been told from a pretty reliable source, and I'll tell Julio after this because I don't want to let out the bag. But I was like, oh wow, okay, that would make a lot more sense than just him being injured and not being comfortable to play. Like that just doesn't seem like a competitor,
That's
you know?
yeah. This is news to me because that's literally what I heard. It was his left leg, which was obviously his drive leg, right? So his Achilles ripped, and then I heard that there were some other issues, like he had re-injured himself, and somehow no one wanted to sign him, no one wanted to rehabilitate him, and it was like the first time that I was like, that seems really weird because
Mm-hmm.
even when Rory had hurt his back, he got his contract renewed with Nike and TaylorMade
Mm-hmm.
and everything like that. And then it was what? And then John Rahm had a small injury with his wrist or something like that, and he ends up signing a contract with Callaway, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Even when Dustin Johnson went through all of his stuff, I mean, now you kind of bring that to the table. He still had his contracts with TaylorMade, and basically his whole thing was, "Hey, I'm not going to play for." I think he was gone for 4 months or maybe 6 months, where he
Mm-hmm.
was at some super high end rehabilitation place trying to get himself cleaned up and clean up his act, and then like nothing. But I wonder. Yeah, it's super interesting. I mean, like, I hope you're not
Boom.
stupid.
Teed bomb. Boom.
Yeah, I
Yeah, I
hope
don't
you're
know.
not
I know. I'm like,
stupid enough to like take it into the locker room and just be like, "Oh yeah, like hey, carrying a kilo of coke in my bag. Like,
want a
sorry,
bump? Want a bump
yeah,
for the
want
Ryder
a
Cup?
bump,
You know? Yeah.
DJ, come on,
Yeah.
DJ,
No,
let's
this is
relive it."
DJ's. This is
Yeah,
DJ's. No, but seriously, I mean, I'm not trying to like create any speculation or anything out there, but that is legitimately what I heard, and I was like, wow, okay. Um,
wow,
and I don't think it's on the waves anywhere out there. But from what I was told,
dude, he's been gone for 12 years.
it's a long time, man.
That
And
is a
someone that good is not just gonna like fall off the face of the earth and just not come back because they don't want to. Very rarely do you
whoa.
have
I
somebody.
didn't even realize that it was this long.
And it just so happens that when Live became a thing and he might have waited a year or two to see if it had to play out, and they gave him an offer, and PGA doesn't because he might be banned. Maybe that's why he is with Liv. I mean, I'm all on Anthony. I'm all for Team Kim. I don't care what happened. His past is his past. But if that is true, that would make a lot of sense as to why.
Drugs are
Not
drugs, man. Like everyone's done at some point in their life. I'm shocked like that. I had no idea that was even something that was even out there.
mm-hmm,
Two, I'm blown away
that
that
long.
it's been 12 years. 12 years. Like that is crazy to me, dude. Um
Yeah, because that
well,
was the Ryder Cup. Yeah, was it Ryder Cup right around then when?
yeah, yeah.
Man,
Oh yeah, you're right, dude. Here's some. It's oh my god, that's crazy. There's
what?
literally an article on Golf Magic. It says cocaine dealer is now a Ryder Cup caddy who dealed with Anthony Kim.
No.
This was
Well,
at
it's
the
legit.
Whistling. Yeah.
Well, the source is legit, I guess, huh? I mean,
Whoa. Crazy. Well, let's that's interesting. Well, again, I mean, like, hey, going to kind
I
of
don't.
our world, right? Going to the baseball world, like look
Mm-hmm,
at Josh Hamilton. Guy gets drafted, $5 million all down his nose, right?
mm-hmm,
Has a comeback story of the year, literally.
mm-hmm.
And probably at some point probably will be a Hall of Fame ballot guy. But I mean, unfortunately, you don't think Josh Hamilton will be? Not even
With
in
his
some of
tip,
his not even with some of his
no,
performances leading to
no,
the World Series when he was
no,
like with
no,
really?
no. In my opinion, Hall of Fame to be Hall of Fame, you have to have like 10 plus years of consistently top performance and potentially one or two championships. I know baseball is extremely difficult to get that, but when you're just doing it for like 3 to 4 years, and unless it's like some kind of catastrophic injury, like no, like he had the talent. Don't get me wrong. If he could have stayed consistent, he completely had all the tools. He was an incredible player, but I just don't think that he, um, you know, will have it for the Hall of Fame because he didn't last that long. But I don't know. What do you think on that? I mean, I know obviously you think that he should be in the Hall of Fame, but I don't know. I feel like that's a reach. I feel like it's becoming too much of okay, we're just gonna let him in because it's cool. Like he had it. If there was a Hall of Fame for people that had like 2 to 3 years where they had like that flash in a pan, Hamilton, 100%. Like he was a rock star. You're muted. You're muted.
I'm just messing up this podcast, and I'm sorry. Um, when he came in, he definitely was a rock star. Unfortunately, just kind of due to some of the choices he made, kind of
Mm-hmm.
discredited him for his skill. But I
He
think for
had it.
him, he never lost it. That's what's crazy. Is like in my opinion, even when he came back and he was clean, he did everything right. He took that massive pay cut
The Rangers, right?
from the Rangers to basically just be on probation and say, "Hey, look, I'm about the program." And then what happens? They end up going to the playoffs. They go to the World
Mm-hmm.
Series. Unfortunately, they lose to the Giants. But even then, like he was a monster. I mean, he came into.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he won the home run derby that year. He was a
Yeah,
starter
epic.
on the All
Mm-hmm.
Star team. I mean,
He had it
I
all.
think for those years, I want to say he batted over 300, over 330. I think those years. I mean, he was an absolute terror at the plate. Um, and I think just in that, just one being that here's the thing, one being that the Hall of Fame is picked by the people, not so much it's picked by the people, but also the
Isn't it
journalist,
just the writers? Yeah.
right? Um, I think the writers love that kind of story, right?
Dude, he's
Like,
been out
dude,
for more than 5 years, hasn't he? He's been out.
who? Yeah, he's been out for a
Hamilton.
while. Yeah,
Well, that's
he's
the
been out
thing
for a while.
because he
But
should
but
have.
but
Yeah.
what I'm saying is that when his contract was done with the Rangers, I don't think anyone else tried to pick him up or even gave him the time of day. But that's what I'm saying is like even in his time, he did incredible things. I mean, look at the Giants right now, potentially re-signing Pablo Sandoval. Like, dude. I mean,
Third time's a charm.
yeah, I mean, it's just everyone's got that story, but I think Josh Hamilton is just one that for our generation, you're like, dude, this guy was everything.
He could have
To-
been the best ever. Like,
Literally
he
could have
had
been.
it, dude. He had it.
Yeah.
But I honestly forgot about what we were talking about. But besides Anthony Kinn, of course. But what were you comparing that to? Just the fact of like how it
Oh
happens
yeah, yeah. I
everywhere,
was
or
just
just in our
mentioning.
sports and
I was just mentioning like people make mistakes, and this is this
Mhm.
is
Oh
this is
yeah.
redemption time. This is redemption time for Anthony Kim, and I think
Hmm.
he's been waiting for that opportunity. And unfortunately, not unfortunately, but here it is. With Live, and this is the plus side of Live. Guys who
Hmm.
maybe are not getting that notoriety, you know, with the PGA. This is a place where you can go and again, you're making a lot of money
Hmm.
to really promote yourself, to
Yeah.
pull yourself back into a, I don't want to discredit by saying that it's semi-competitive, but still pulling yourself into a competitive environment that's team
Hmm.
based,
Yeah.
right? But kind of jump into another piece. I mean, I think we made a good point there, but did you have a chance to watch the match?
I watched it for a bit. Yeah. So,
It was hard to
uh,
watch.
dude, I saw it on Twitter. I'm like, oh, it's on? Oh, okay. That like snuck up on me. It wasn't something where, oh, I can't wait for the match. I feel like after the first few, I was kind of like, okay, like we saw it. Like I don't want to, like I'm over it. Like it's basically repeating itself over and over again. I think there was a couple things that were kind of interesting to watch players do. Um, like it was four. I think it was Rory, Max Homa, Lexi Thompson, and I'm forgetting the Asian woman who apparently is a Stanford student as well. And like the next day, she had to go to class at Stanford. I don't know where they were, but I'm like, that's ridiculous for her being a pro and still in school is crazy. Um, but it was
Something
not.
Rose. Rose Zhang. Rose
Zhang, yeah,
Zhang.
that's the one. That's the one. Yeah, I mean, they're so good. Lexi had a nice eagle. The balls rolled like crazy. It was night golf. It looked cold, but I would say that the only thing that I was kind of when I was watching it, I was like, "Oh, this is cool." They did a one club challenge where I think it was like a par four or par five. I think it was a par five, and
Mhm.
they could use only one club, and out of the four of them, only one person can use that club. So if Rory used the driver, Max and anyone else can't use a driver. They have to pick another club. So it was like, I think someone went 3 wood, Max went 7 wood, Lexi went 4 iron, and then like Rose went 4 hybrid. And so they're all different clubs. And it was just interesting. I think Rory ended up parring it, but it was just that was kind of like the coolest thing to it. Other than that, I was like, it just I don't know. They just don't seem like the personalities that you want to watch.
No.
Actually, let me say this: the coolest thing that I will say that I saw was DJ Khaled was there, and he was making some comments, and I was like, okay, this is a little more entertaining now. But it's not like
Yeah.
a Tom Brady or Peyton Manning where people behind the camera that you don't get to see, and you're interested to like get to know
Yeah.
them from the inside. Max Home is obviously the guy that he's great on Twitter. Everyone loves him, but no offense to everyone else, they're great golfers, but like they just don't have those personalities that keep it constantly entertaining, you know?
No. No. I mean, I think you need to have some kind of a competitive nature there, right? Like let them really kind of go at it like it's a gulag, like have some kind of, I don't know, some drama fuming, um it just makes it all that much better, right? I mean,
Give me Will Smith
e-
versus Chris Rock. All right. Bring
literally,
him up.
right? Yeah, yeah, exactly. Or even do Shaq versus Charles Barkley. Like
Oh my
do
gosh, that would be epic.
do something where there's like some kind of level of competitiveness where like these guys have a history, right? Like think of like okay, think of the last match where they did, or I'm sorry, like think of the Netflix special, right? The Netflix Cup where they had Lando Norris, they had Max Verstappen from Formula One. Imagine like if it was somebody like the BWT team, right, from India for Formula One.
Mm-hmm.
Or I'm sorry, is it BWT?
I know who you're talking about. I think
Yeah,
they've changed it a
yeah.
few times, but
But I mean, think of like those guys, right? Like those two drivers between uh Oren and Peter Gosley, like those dudes fucking hate each other, and they both play golf. Like,
Yeah.
do something like that to where it's like, ooh, there's a little bit of
Animosity there.
tension
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You feel that. Yeah.
I mean, and even in golf, right? Like, I think if they really wanted to make the match dope this year, it would have been so awesome to have like Rory McIlroy versus um
Maxim?
who's a guy from Live, like,
Mm,
could have been like,
maybe like a Taylor Gooch. Honestly, right now it'd be Taylor Gooch because I was going to tell you,
okay,
Taylor Gooch just came out saying if Rory goes around and wins this Masters, and they don't allow the top players, but if some people from Live that should
right,
be there aren't, he's like, then he deserves an asterisk on the Grand Slam. That's what he said.
yeah. Well,
And
so that's what I'm saying is like, have Rory, being that Rory has spoken out how much he hates Live, have him go against the best performing Live player, even if that's like Brooks Koepka or somebody, right? Like,
hmm
have that, because now Rory's in front of whoever is the face of Live, being that he's the PGA boy. It's like,
or
just
Phil
imagine.
Mickelson, or Phil Mickelson.
No, I don't think Phil.
I
Phil.
mean,
I
it
mean,
wouldn't be competitive because of how much older Phil is, yes, but like,
I think it still would be competitive, but I just don't think that Rory would be able to handle the shit talking that Phil brings
oh
to an
man,
event. Like, I feel like it would get physical. And in my professional, like, in my opinion, I think Rory would kind of bite his tongue if it was someone like Brooks, because he knows Brooks would fucking knock him out, right?
the
So,
price is wrong. Just Happy
yeah, the
Gilmore's all
price
I'm
is
thinking,
wrong,
right? And
Rory.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's all I'm thinking.
I think you've had enough. No?
Yeah. Now I've
Like,
had enough.
but then also too is, they're, I don't know, I don't even know what foundation they were like playing for,
They just said
but that's,
donation. They won like $1 million in donation, and I'm
yeah,
like,
so
okay,
so that could have raised the stakes, right? Like, they could have been something to like, the losing player has to sponsor an event, right? Like, now Rory's got to put something on Live to where his money's going to the tour that he hates.
can you
Brooks
imagine?
Brooks has to put money towards the tour that basically said, "We love you, but we just don't want to pay you," right? So
hmm
imagine how much that hurts, right? I mean, these guys
Yeah,
got
something
deep
that'll
pockets.
sting. Yeah,
Yeah, something
yeah.
that'll sting. So that's what I'm saying, dude. It's just like, I don't know. I think it's just dumb. And plus, kind of to your point, like, as much or as great as a golfer Lexi Thompson is, I just don't think that the demographic of golfers, right, just don't want to watch
hmm
anyone from the
I
LPGA.
mean, heck, they could even pull people from YouTube Golf, whether it's like the Wesley brothers, versus like add a Wesley brother on another team of, I don't know who, like um, what's his name, Brooks Koepka, or who else is like, or like even a Phil Mickelson, just someone to just get out and that talks crap, that has fun, that is
Make
entertaining,
it,
that's here for the people,
yeah.
and
Make it somebody who make it someone who's got some bad blood, right? So think of like Garrett
Garrett
from Good
Clark.
Good.
Is it Clark?
Garrett Clark from Good Good versus Rick Shields. They're not even on talking terms anymore, apparently, from the whole
The whole
trip
what?
over. They had some Scotland trip that they did, and Rick Shields basically came out saying like, "No, we need to film some of this on my channel because I need some recognition too." They're like, "Well, we got all of these guys who are here with us." I may be wrong, but I heard there was some. I've seen some clips of Rick Shields kind of throwing some shade towards the good guys. And also, I don't know if you remember that dude who used to do the frisbee stuff with Dude Perfect, right? What was his name? His name was like Brody something. Now he got really good at golf. Good originally kind of said, "Hey, dude, let's do a channel together," and they, like, Garrett screwed him out of a bunch of money. There's a huge account, like, there's a huge 2 hour long YouTube video talking about how Good screwed over Brody for a lot of these big deals. And the thing was, is Brody was kind of like how Bob Mannery was for Nelk, right? Like, Brody brought in a lot of the big name dudes that he was already connected with to kind of help promote them, and they
Wow.
basically just said, "Oh, well, if you're gonna connect us, like, cool," and then they just cut him out of the picture.
Wow.
Yeah, so there's
That's
like a, I
dirty.
mean, Garrett apparently is like a super shady business partner, uh, according to a lot of people. Like people have even asked, like, what happened with him and Kyle? Like, how come Kyle's no longer on the channel? Like, what happened there? Right? Apparently, he did the same thing. He like
Is Kyle the editor, the main
no
editor?
Kyle Berkshire, the long drive guy.
He was part of that, or no? He
So
wasn't.
they did like a whole series where literally Kyle was
Mm,
like a part of Good. Like
mm,
he was on there constantly. He did their Sunday matches with them. He did the team matches, and all of a sudden, guy just
gone.
yeah, he's just gone. Now he just does his own monotone videos where he's like, all right, guys, well, I got 500 yards here. I'm going to take a 4 iron, hit it 310,
Yeah,
like he just kind of does his monotone videos. Like,
yeah,
no respect,
right.
like, no disrespect. Like, I like his videos. It's incredible to see how far he hits the
Yeah, to
ball.
see human do
Um,
that. Yeah,
yeah. Well, and
yeah.
then also just his touch around the
It's
green
honestly a
is
very impressive for being a long
it's
drive guy. You
yes,
know.
yes. He's got some good mittens, but
Hmm.
that's what I've heard, dude. I've heard that the good boys have burned a lot of people, kind of in their road to where they are today.
Dang.
Even so, with some people internally, like the stories haven't come out yet, but
Hmm.
kind of the way that the direction of the business was going for Micah and what he ultimately wanted to do, the real reasons for why Grant wanted to leave. There was some creative disconnects in what they really wanted to do. Um, there's just a lot of stuff, right? Even like with the whole Claire Hogue thing, you know, there's just a lot of backstories where a lot of people have been like, "How is that you guys were literally doing videos like all the time, and then all of a sudden just it's cut them done? Like, see you later." You
Yeah,
know?
that's tough, dude. I mean, fortunately for them, they're already in the millions and they're already connected with
Yeah,
Dick's Sporting Goods, and they have their own tournaments and stuff now where
yeah,
they should be good. Like if everything were to end today, like they should be still set for life, like
hmm
with all their sales and stuff. But I don't know, man. I guess greed or like money, like they say, it changes people, and you can really see who they are when they get all that money, and it's it's crazy because you think,
yeah,
oh, it wouldn't happen. Oh, they're not going to do that. Oh, he can't be that bad of a person. Then something like that happens. They pull something like that, and then you say something, and people are like, nah, that's not him. If they don't know who he is, but if they do, they're like, oh yeah, bro, that happened to me. Welcome to the club.
yeah,
You
yeah.
know?
It's just, I mean, again, these are just kind of some things that I've seen. I don't know the full stories, but I can definitely say I did watch that 2 hour episode with Brody, and dude, he goes into some deep detail where he's like, they're just shady, like they're super shady, um, and all this stuff. It's pretty wild. But again, like going back to the match, I think it's just lost it. I think it's just lost its flavor. I mean,
It needs to
where
go
did
away
they
for a
where
little bit, honestly,
where
and
did they
then
even play at?
I
Where did they
honestly
play
don't
at?
even know. I think it was in Georgia somewhere. It looked like a great course. It was night and it was awesome. The shot tracer was garbage. Like it literally, you could see like because it's a night golf, right? So you could see the ball going into the distance because it's just pitch
Yeah.
black, and like you see the ball, and then you see like 2 inches to the right, you see the shot tracer. You're like, okay,
Mhm.
well that's off. Okay, don't even have it. I mean, if you can already see the ball, what's the point of doing that?
Yeah.
Um, but I mean, it was. I would have enjoyed playing. Never gonna ask me. But yeah, I mean, no offense to the golfers themselves, they are top of the world at what they do. But I mean, you got to get like a Bill Murray out there, or someone out there that's just gonna be for the people, knows how to entertain, and also a professional golfer or two. A
Yeah.
mixture of both.
Yeah. I mean, shit, dude. Like, imagine seeing Shannon Sharp versus like Skip Bayless, like out on the golf course, just talking mad shit to each other. They're like they can literally
Oh
do whatever
man,
they want, right? Like that would be a fun one to see. Max
Donald Trump
versus
versus Donald Trump versus Joe Biden.
dude, dude. You see Joe tripping on every fucking hole, just
Right?
trips and
Just
just gets shoved off the green into a bunker by Donald.
just falls off the green because of the undulation of the green. No one's even touching him. He just
Yeah,
falls over. Yeah.
Donald shoves him into a bunker and is just like, guess
Yeah.
who's 6 feet under, or guess who's six under now, fucker.
Oh man. Yeah, so yeah, I mean it was definitely unfortunate because honestly I didn't even know what was happening and I was like, oh, it's on. And I was like, okay, like I just don't really seem engaged. And
Yeah,
I didn't really feel like there wasn't even a hashtag for it on. And usually with these big events, you have like a hashtag or something trending,
I
and
just
nothing
felt
was
like it
really
was,
going.
yeah, I felt like it was super underplayed. I mean, I didn't see really um any marketing for it until it was like Saturday.
Really?
Saturday was the first thing I had seen about it. I was like, oh shit, it's already coming up. Okay. And then I didn't see anything else about it. And then finally, and then on top of that, I go watch it on YouTube TV, and it shows that it's on. Like it's saying, "Oh, here, watch the match here on TNT," and it was still playing Family Guy. I was like, "All right, I'm not dealing with this. I'm just gonna put some Miss
Man,
Rachel on."
right? Well, I mean, now shifting to a little bit more back to the PGA, I think it's what the first weekend in April is the Masters, right? It's always the first weekend, or is it like the third weekend? Do you recall exactly?
I think it's the first weekend.
Is it the first? Because if
Hmm.
that's the case, I think there'll be like a few more tournaments coming up before the Masters. And I know Rory did say something about how he's going to start preparing and going
Yeah,
to like back to
it'll
back
be
to
the
back.
eighth through the 14th, eighth through the
Okay.
14th. So the like second week.
Okay. But yeah, I mean, he did mention that he was going to start the grind to get ready to prepare for the Masters. And I don't know, the Honda Classic is coming up at PGA National in Florida. And great golf course, but it always has had a terrible, terrible group of players. And by terrible, I don't mean it in a negative way, but I mean like you don't have the top players that are always there. It's always one of the ones that players would skip, and then they would join another one, a week or two down the road. But this week you got
Hmm.
like Rory McIlroy, you got Cam Young, Russell Henley, JT
Yeah.
Poston, Matt Fitzpatrick, Shane Lowry, Corey Connors, Sinjay M, Keith Mitchell, and a bunch, just a much more Sepp Straka, a much more stacked, you know, field, which is great
Hmm.
for PGA. And you got Jeddah going on this week, and I'm really cannot wait for Jeddah. But regardless, PGA Tour, PGA National. I've had a buddy that's actually played that course with the Bear Trap and said it's a fun course, and I don't know how much I'll watch this week, but I just feel like also like a lot of the PGA Tour has just lost its luster to me, man. I don't know about you,
Yeah.
and I don't know if that's just me or if that's how
I
other people
think it's,
feel.
I feel the same way, and I think a lot of it is because we talk about how we feel about the PGA, and we talk about kind of like the bare amount of minimum or the bare amount of effort that they put into like trying to make a difference when it's like you have this new tour that's coming up that's really changing really everything.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just kind of like, dude, when are you going to really make a big difference to kind of spike up the PGA again? And you're just not, right? There's just a lot of burned bridges, I think, with fans and kind of the way that the whole situation with Jay Monahan and everything kind of going. Like, people want to see some. I mean, the Masters is always going to be the Masters, but
Yeah.
I think like the Ryder Cup is not going to be as exciting as it's going to be like ever until it's like changed from the Ryder Cup to PGA versus Live. Like going back to
Well, I
your
mean,
point. I mean, going
yeah.
back to your point about what Taylor Goose just said, he brings up a really good point, which is like, yeah, if Rory wins the Masters, you're not playing the best players in golf anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Right.
there should be an asterisk because there's not like it's not like what Tiger went up against. It's not anything
Mm-hmm.
of what John Rahm went up against.
Mm-hmm.
It's nothing like that anymore. Like they're just trying to fill spots now because it's like all the other really good dudes who the top contending guys are not even on the tour anymore. So
Yeah.
is like is it kind of cutting down the competition level for some of these better players to shine? Well, we'll find out because quite frankly, Rory has absolutely been a freaking gobbler every time at the Masters. I mean, he plays
Yeah.
atrociously, like
Mhm, mhm.
terrible for a guy
Like, you
who
could
loves
see
it.
that stress on him when
Yeah,
he plays.
for a guy who hits a draw the way he does, and
It's just such a
hits the high
perfect
ball,
course.
dude, it's perfect for him, and he can't figure it out. And it's like everyone gets excited because everyone wants to see him win it, but it's like, dude,
Mhm.
you just suck at this place. Like, you should get here at least a month early and just start freaking playing and
Right.
get it dialed in at this
Mhm.
point in your career. Like, Jesus.
Right. Right. Yeah, if that's the last one you gotta win. I mean, like, to me, it kind of, and I'm not really sure who's not gonna be in it live related based off of them not getting world golf ranking points. But if there are some people, I could totally see an asterisk. In my opinion, I know a lot of people might be against that, but to me, it kind of relate. I can kind of relate it to the Boston Celtics. They have, I think, like an NBA like leading like 17 championships, right? For like for their franchise, but they've only had four since like 1980, and since 1980, and actually before 1980, 13 of those championships were like when the NBA was only like 8 teams, or like maximum like 10 teams. You know how easy it is to win a championship when there's only like 10 teams compared to 30? And all
Championship's a
the,
championship. I
no,
think in
it's
that
not.
time,
No, no, I
in
don't. I don't, because
in
think
that
about it.
time,
Think about it. You might have, regular season, a semifinal, and a championship series. Now you have like four series before getting into a championship, I think playoffs like a month and a half for the NBA. It's like a second season. There's so much more of a grind that goes on to it compared to what they didn't have to deal with before. Plus the travel, plus all the media hype and all this extra stuff. It was so under the radar where you can use like the Cleveland Browns, right? No Super Bowls. They've never been to a Super Bowl. They have, I think, 7 or 8 championships from before, the Super Bowl era. And I'm like, until people start discounting the Boston Celtics for having 17 championships, that like at least half of them shouldn't count because it's kind of BS. Like, don't be discounting my championships for the Cleveland Browns. They might not be Super Bowls, but a champ, like, if a championship's a championship, well then Cleveland Browns have like 8, and it is what it is. But it's something that I actually got into a little bit with a troll like yesterday or 2 days ago, and they're like, "Well, if that's the case, well then like Sergio Romo, or Sergio, not Romo. Sorry, I'm thinking baseball now.
Garcia.
Sergio Garcia's Masters win shouldn't count because Dustin Johnson wasn't in because of injury." And I'm like, "No, dude, that's part of the game. Injuries is completely
Yeah,
different.
no,
Like that's
you
not
gotta
even.
no.
That's part of the
Whoever
game.
said
Injuries is part of it. Everything else is like, yeah, I did. I said it's completely different. Like, you can't compare
no,
that."
but to my statement, a championship is a championship, right? In that time, it is a championship. Obviously, the criteria of what qualifies as a world championship has changed drastically, right?
Completely.
Think about like the New York Giants. The New York Giants had won consistently 3 years in a row for the pennant or whatever it was, like I think it was like pre World Series or something like that, right? Um,
No, they're all World Series, man.
or
They're all
all World Series. I apologize, sorry, but I
before they
mean, still,
moved, probably.
yeah,
Is that
before
what you
they
mean?
moved, but yet those, I mean, those aren't really recognized, right? Like, a lot of people don't really talk about them, but again, in my in a it just depends on the sport, right? Obviously, basketball was taking off at a different time. Golf has always kind of been you versus the field. You can't discount those, because if you're going to be the best in the field, you're going to be the best in the field.
Mm-hmm.
If there's 8 players that show up to the Masters, that's who you got to play against, and that's just what it's going to be. If there's
Could
eight
you
teams, if
imagine?
there's dude, I'd be pissed if I was one of those people that had to pay that price for that ticket to be there, and just be like, well, I'm sitting here on 16, just waiting for these 2 groups to come on
Rory
through.
McIlroy is the only one who made it. He's gonna win the
Yeah.
Masters. He's finally
Yeah.
gonna get it, folks. He's finally done it. Rory has won the 2024 Masters Championship. How many
Yeah.
people were in the field?
8.
One.
Yeah. But again, I don't know, man. I mean, you can't discount those. Like, it is what it is at that time. Obviously, again, a lot's changed in sports since those times. So you got to think back then, it was the building eras of what is now these multi-billion dollar, you know, businesses, right?
Yeah.
Like
Mm-hmm.
it's
Yep.
different. But kind of going to the Celtics, I don't think Tatum's the guy to help them even get there. They got there. They blew it against the Warriors, but you know, I don't
Yeah.
know, man.
Warriors had a good run. Enjoy the next 20 years of not being mediocre.
Yeah,
I mean, hey,
yeah.
enjoy it, man. Hey, I'm jealous you had it, but you did, so enjoy
Hey,
it.
Mitchell. I think the Cleveland Browns have the right. Or I'm sorry, the Cleveland Browns, the Cleveland Cavaliers. I think,
Donovan.
yeah, I think they have the right person in the spot. He's hungry to go get one. I think
I'd
they
love
just
it.
need to make I think they just need to make a few more moves to get some guys who are sharing that same tenacity. You can kind of tell that there's some dudes that are kind of like just kind of going through the motion, but
Well, as long
it
as they
just
play better in the playoffs, dude. Last year, they literally were like, "What happened? You guys were like killing it," and they're like, "Well, the lights were a lot brighter than we expected." Like, seriously? Okay, thanks for
if
admitting that, but like, come on, man, come on.
well
Apparently,
shit.
like one of the guys was about to
Well,
like throw up like after the tip off, and it's like, come
yeah.
on,
Well, dude, I mean, come on. Like, think about my Niners and freaking Kyle Shanahan saying, "Oh yeah, well, we weren't very clear about the overtime rules." Like,
dude.
bro, you're a moron.
And the crazy thing was, if you go really quickly to that, like Johnny Manziel had his whole thing with Shannon Sharp, his whole like little interview, and he said that like Kyle Shanahan, when he was the offensive coordinator for the Browns, it was like the most detailed that he has ever seen, to the point where like he would tell offensive linemen where to put their hands on the defensive lineman, like so detailed. And you're telling me someone that detailed is going to use that as an out? Like, come on, dude. Like, you are known for being so detailed, but you just forgot about the freaking like, oh, what are the chances of that happening? You don't. This is going to the Super Bowl is so. It's probably one of the hardest things to do because you only have one game. Whether it's just the Super Bowl or the AFC NFC Championship or the wild card, the playoffs. You lose one and done. It's like the NCAA basketball tournament, right? It's so hard. Like you could be like the best team ever, but if you go up against a super hot player or a super hot team in one game, you're out. That's it. Or you have an off game. Like it's so hard. How are you gonna forget? I didn't even know how the play. I had the sound on low when I was watching it, so I didn't even know how it was gonna go. And they scored, and I was like, oh, I assume that's it because they gave up, I think, a field goal, right? And then it was a touchdown, or there was nothing in it. But I was like, oh
Well,
dang, okay, yeah. So yeah,
I mean, what do you think it'd be like if they were to do like a best out of three for the Super Bowl?
dude, I'd be like, okay, my guess would be it would be 1 game, 2 week break, 1 game, 2 week break, and then 1 game. Because like Super Bowl, they usually get 2 weeks of a break, and I would assume that they would probably want it maybe a week and a half. I don't know, but regardless, that would be kind of nuts, dude. I'm kind of for it. I mean, I'm all for more football. I mean, the players would hate it, but you know, like you have 1 games all throughout your life, and then you get in the Super Bowl, you got a 3 game series. Wait, what?
you got you got Chris, you got Christian McCaffrey with 2 broken ribs, and he's like, I ran my ass off for this first game. I thought we got 2 more.
Wait a minute. Kyle Shanahan didn't tell me that. What?
Mm-hmm.
I thought we won the Super Bowl. No, man, you got to win one more.
or what if or what if they did it like this? So it's like, since the Pro Bowl is like the week before the Super Bowl or whatever, right? What what if they did a 2-day competition series between each team? So it's like, who can complete the most, or who can complete the best passes for the
Dodgeball.
quarter? Dodgeball, they have 40-yard sprints for,
Offensive lineman catching
yeah.
punts. And
And then finally, you've all been waiting for it after all of these events. These teams are tied in the point series. This game dictates the entire Super Bowl. It's like all of this stuff, and then here comes the game, and they're like, "Okay, well, I guess now we play for real." That'd
That'd
be
be freaking
hilarious.
wild. That'd be crazy. Or I mean, think about it.
Everyone,
Like if golf had a thing like that, where I know it's like over 4 days, but like they push it to like 6 days. They push it to like 7 days. They just I don't know, man. Or just one 18-hole round. Make it the opposite of what it is now where you play more. That'd be crazy.
Mhm. It's basically like how I play 2K. Just one round, come in and just dominate the field, and I'm out. On to the
Was
next
that
tournament.
on your career?
I just played one
Uh,
round.
uh,
Yeah.
I feel you. Yeah. I don't play career, man. I play my society. Four Dads Golf and Country, or Four Dads Country Club. Join on Xbox if you
Yeah.
don't already. But yeah, so I mean, unfortunately, right now, going back to golf, PGA Tour is coming up this week with the national. But one thing I do want to touch on before we wrap up, Jake Knapp won the Mexico Open last week. I honestly didn't. I might have watched a couple swings, maybe when I was at the gym, but I really didn't watch too much golf from the Mexico Open. Jake Knapp with a K. He is a rookie, and apparently he's 29 years old. And the big story on him was he spent years toiling on golf's lower levels and worked as a nightclub bouncer. And you look at this kid, and you get to that club, yeah, I could take him. Okay, I'll do what I want. Like, there's nothing really impressive. But the coolest thing, one thing I thought was really interesting, apparently this guy has two drivers in his bag. Two drivers. One's a mini driver. And he said for whatever reason that when it comes to trying to find a 3-wood, um, all the 3-woods that he's tried, they just spin way more that he wants. And apparently he doesn't hit the ground too often. He just clips it really, really well. And you know, he's not getting the numbers that he wanted. So apparently he uses, I think, like a mini driver, like 13, 14 degrees for his 3-wood, to give him the spin and the numbers that he wants. I mean, have you ever, like, not in a simulator, but like out on a range or an actual course, like played a mini driver before? And what are like the big differences, or why do people play those?
I really don't know. I've never considered a mini driver. I did have a Callaway XR 3-wood plus, which it was like a 13-degree driver.
Because it's
And
stronger, right? Just
yeah,
stronger.
yeah, it's stronger. I mean, I didn't see I didn't see like a crazy difference, although my flight was significantly lower with that 3-wood, and I would see a lot more roll, but
Okay.
I don't know. I've never really tested out like a mini driver. I mean, the closest thing I would say that I would have to it would be that would be that 3-wood plus that I had, and I
Mm-hmm.
guess now would be like my 2-iron.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Right.
yeah, but I've never really understood the purpose for a 3-wood. I mean, I feel like that would be like a question for like Hendrik Stenson or something. You know,
Yeah. Maybe not
since
Don
all
Julio.
but I don't know. Maybe because you're some people just with a 3-wood you have more um you
Workability.
can yeah, you can be a little bit more creative, right? Like with that smaller head you can kind of work the ball a little bit more, you can shallow it out and kind of hit that nice easy stinger compared to a 3-wood. 3-wood's kind of meant to get up in the air a little bit and come down a little bit
Right.
softer, you
Mm-hmm,
know?
mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I don't know. I he could have just done it just because of maybe different shots he plays, right? I mean, the one thing I took away from really watching Jake over the weekend was kid's got smooth tempo, dude. Smooth
That's what I
tempo.
read. That's what I read. That's what I read.
It just looked effortless. It was like his takeaway was the same speed as it was getting his hands into the slot, and all of a sudden it's just like his hip clears and everything just whoosh, and then he just holds it like, yep, no big deal, you know?
Let's see here. Yeah, I mean, I'm happy. I mean, it's always good when you hear a rookie. Hey, I'm looking at the tempo right now, man.
Smooth.
What the
It's smooth.
dude? That is true. He like flings that club back, and it looks like it's just like, dude, that's weird.
Yeah.
Whoa.
It looks good though, in my opinion. Dude, I'm
But he,
looking
he
at
brings it back, and it just the top head of the club comes down. And just looks weird. Like he
yeah.
doesn't like like him him compared to Hideki Matsuyama, who like stops his swing at the back at the top. It's just like completely different, where he just lets it go, and it looks like that club's never stopping.
Yeah. I'm looking at this video on that just came up that's on Twitter right now with Live Golf, and it says it's Anthony Kim kind of walking through the course, and it says I've missed the competitive part of the game, right? And dude, Anthony Kim looks like, I don't know, he looks like a club pro who just like is getting his first crack at some competitive golf in a very long time. Like compared to what his face looked like before, like he's kind of got the dad double chin going. His cheeks are a little bit fuller, but the long hair is just kind of like, yeah,
Dude, I want to
dude.
see that thing come out like Steve Aoki, dude. Just let that baby flow.
Just throw a cake at someone's face on the course.
Yeah. He wins
No,
the tournament. Someone just smashes his face with a cake.
I'm like looking at it, it's like he just reminds me of someone I used to work with, where guy drives his Honda Element, just goes in there, just gets baked out of his mind, comes back into work, and he's just like,
Let's go.
yeah, dude. He's like, yeah, dude. So, you're my 12 o'clock for the fitting for the Callaway AI smoke. Well, let's see how you hit it, right? He's just there ripping balls in the bay, and all of a sudden he's like, I don't know if anyone's told you this, but I don't think there's any amount of artificial intelligence that can fix that slice. So let's get you something realistic.
A little too blunt. Oh man,
Dude, literally, I'm looking at this video right now. I'm just like,
I mean, he's swinging
looks,
in vans. He's swinging in vans. I mean,
this guy looks
dude,
like he's been through the shit though. Like he looks like he's kind of had to
what are
clean
your
himself up.
last question before we wrap it up? What are your thoughts on how he'll perform? Do you think he'll shoot under par?
I think he'll shoot under par.
Yeah,
I think
he'll be top 20 in singles. Because I think there's only like 55 or 60 players, so it's not like a crazy big field. Do you think he'll be like, let's say 30, top 30, the top half? You think he'll be top half?
I think he lands right at 15.
Okay. I'm gonna go with like 27.
I think he splits the field. I like. Here's the thing, right? He's recognized. Obviously, he can probably still go to any course and play some golf, and I'm sure he probably hustled on the side. Went to like local club.
Where's the first tee, and what's the course record?
Yeah, exactly. I'm sure he probably pulled some of that stuff. Maybe played some small little mini tours. I don't know. But I don't know. Just judging from some of the the highlights of him hitting it, looks like he's still got the swing. But yeah, he looks like a completely different person. Different person. So we'll see. I mean, I wish him the best, but yeah, looking at the long hair, I'm just kind of like, dude, where's the Honda Element? What do you got? You got shrooms? You
got that good?
Yeah, he looks like that guy.
All right, well, that'll do it for another episode of Fore Dad's Podcast. Thank you guys for your support. So if you haven't already, check us out on YouTube and TikTok and Twitter and Instagram. We are on all the socials. Kind of doing pretty well over the last few days on YouTube and TikTok. So give us a follow if you haven't already. Don't forget to stay fly and go low. We will see you guys next week. Take care.
See you later.